Hi and welcome. Now here we are, we've got our images all imported now, so what next? Well, what we might want to do is review and compare them. Now Elements does provide us with some methods for doing this. We've got a full screen view and two side-by-side views, a side-by-side and then an up and down side-by-side, which lets you see the images at any level of magnification without the distraction of all the panels and menus and gubbins. Now in both of these views you can apply keywords, add photos to albums and even perform a range of one-click editing tasks. Okay, let's look at full screen mode. Now you can use full screen mode to assess your photos in detail, or just to present a selection of images in an instant slideshow. So let's have a look at that. So we'll click a thumbnail just to select it. And then in the media browser pane, what we're going to do is go to the view menu and we're going to select full screen. And this takes us into full screen mode. Now, if we move the pointer over these little tabs at the side, we can apply things like some very basic editing things like star ratings and rotate, and we can do things like adding the image to an album or adding keywords to it. Now if we move the pointer to the middle of the screen, then that reset the cell. So if you want to see them again, just move your pointer over and they'll come back out again. Now here we've got on the toolbar at the bottom, we've got a few options. And the first one is to play a little slideshow. And if we just click this little theme one, we can decide, do we want just a classic one, do we want a fade, pan and zoom, or a pixelate. Let's try a pan and zoom, and we'll click OK. And then all we do, we just click, we can go through the slides one at a time by clicking these little buttons here, or we can click the big one, and we're going to a slideshow. Is that not cool? Okay, that's enough of that. Now the next thing we can do is the side-by-side mode, and this is in the view modes. So if I click this little triangle here, I've got an up and down view mode, or I've got a side-by-side view mode. Now the side-by-side viewing mode lets you keep one image fixed on one side of a split screen while you cycle through a selection of photos on the other. Now this is useful for comparing composition and detail or for choosing the best of a similar range of shots. Now from the film strip, what I'm going to do is click on the first photo. So this is the active photo. You can see that because it's got a blue line around it. And now I can either click the little arrow or I can use the arrows on the keyboard. And what will happen is I'll cycle through the images and now I'm comparing them to the church one. And as I'm in the images, they say, well, okay, anything that I do to this image with the blue round, because this is the active image, is going to get recorded. So if I want to give this a 4-star rating, I just press 4 on the keyboard, or I can go over to the little edit thing and you can see it's already put 4 stars on. So I'm cooking with gas. So I'll just keep going and go through them all and say, well, I'll give that a 3-star rating, I'll give that a 1-star rating, etc, etc. Now if you want to swap things round, you can press the tab key, and that makes the right hand side the active image. So now I'm scrolling through everything on the right hand side and I'm comparing it to what's on the left hand side. Now just remember, any organising or editing operation that you perform will only affect the active image. So now if I did that a 4-star rating, it would happen on the squirrel image. Now if you need to zoom in on either of the images, what you can use is your Control and Plus. And Control and Plus will zoom in, and Control and Minus will zoom out. And all I'm doing is I'm just clicking on the image and then I'm zooming out and zooming in with Control and Plus and Control and Minus. Now if we zoom in on 2 images, let's just do that. And let's say we wanted to pan both these images at the same time. Then what we can do is we can click the lock icon. So if I click on that now, when I pan one image, it pans both of them. So if you had 2 similar images that you wanted to really examine the detail on, then you could use this, and that is pretty cool. If I take the lock off, then I'm back to panning one image. So I'm just panning this one, or I'm panning that one, and Control and minus will give me zoom in on each individual image. Now there's a couple of extra things in the film strip. We've already seen the theme, and the theme is basically, you know, a transition between the slides if you have a slideshow. So we don't need that. Film strip, well, that takes away the film strip or brings it back. The view modes we've looked at. The lock we've looked at for zooming and panning. Settings, these are things to do with the slideshow. You can have different music and a duration and captions and all that kind of good stuff, which we'll be going into in more details in a later video. And then we've got fix, which is anything that I want to apply up here, star rating, rotation, etc, etc. And we've got organise. Do I want to add any of these to albums, and do I want to add any keyword tags? And then we've got an info where we can add information about the image, the caption, we can change the file name, we can add notes, and we've got metadata, and we've got some history. And then finally we've got the exit button. So I click on exit and I'm back to my media view in full screen mode. Well, that's it for reviewing and comparing images. We can view photos in full screen mode. We can compare photos side by side. We can zoom photos. So we can actually get in there and do some detailed examination of what our image is like. And that's it. I'll see you in the very next video. Bye for now.